Hello Gunters, really good news for the next title update for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. As part of the title update 3 we will get the option to augment the shell level of every endgame Gunlance. It will cost 2 points to raise a level 7 to level 8 and 3 from level 6 to level 8. This is very cheap and will mean that at most you will be skipping 5% affinity or plus 5 raw over a level 8 Gunlance. At title update 3 there will be 8 upgrade slots available. This means you can have by example raw plus 15 and shell level plus 1 or affinity plus 5%, sharpness extended and shell level or any other combination under 8 points. And the trade-off are way more endgame Gunlances other than the trio of Canyon, Cornpopper and Pyre. I plan to make one video comparing every Gunlance to indicate the promising ones for each shell type plus additional more in-depth videos for damage calculations or builds using the new possibilities. This first video will be oriented to compare the normal Gunlances to find out if Torci Gunlance has been finally dethroned as the to-go normal Gunlance. In general, normal is the shell type where this change will affect the least the meta because Torci is just so good with 30% base affinity, decent slots and workable affinity, and is still the normal Gunlance easiest to get a build going. Especially considering that you will need high-level afflicted monsters to unleash the power of the level 7 normal Gunlances. In general, for a normal Gunlance you want besides the higher raw and affinity you can get are decoration slots. Extra decoration slots can be exchanged for extra stats, so by example, if you got a Gunlance with a level 4 and a level 2 slot you can slot in maximum might and be equivalent to a 30% affinity. Or you can get all your artillery there. Never discount slots when comparing Gunlances because it can be a tier break. The least significant thing about normal Gunlances, especially at the endgame when fighting afflicted monsters, are status and elemental stats. Normal Gunlance is based around the very slow attacks of Sweep and Slam, and slow attacks don't mix well with elemental based. You should mainly prioritize raw and affinity. There may still be some niche exceptions, but as a rule of thumb, a bit of elemental is not going to cut it. For example, an effective 30 elemental stat is only 3 points of damage against a 10 elemental hit zone and 9 against a 31. That is rare. When your slaps are doing 300 damage, that means a 1% to 3% increase, and slaps can go over 500 against some monsters when focused on it. I will go over these things in another video. Another thing of raw versus affinity is that Gunlance has to pay the tax of having to slot artillery and load shield and maybe guard, and this makes it hard to get as much skills as the other weapons. This makes high affinity weapons very valuable even if they sport bad base raw. Consider how Pyre dominated with just 30% affinity when there was weapons with 30 or more raw. Another final factor to consider is if the weapon can get purple and if comes with it. Gunlance just spends too much sharpness with full burst. A sequence of slam, sweep and burst is a hefty 9 points of sharpness, and even with razor sharp, your sharpness is not going to stand for minutes. Because of this, protective polish is the preferred skill for keeping it up, and that means that even a bit of purple makes a difference. Status is also too slow to make a huge difference, but still I know lots of you would love to sleep and poison your enemies, and I will include it. At the end, I can spot 6 normal Gunlances with a niche no other can fill or are just better than the rest. The 6 niches are: best affinity, best overall damage, best poison, best sleep, best slots for pure shelling builds, and the best defense stat, since there is a highlight with 50 ridiculous defense. Let's start. Torci, as said before, just has the best affinity of every normal Gunlance and will still be used even if it is not optimal, because how valuable is affinity to squeeze skills. But it will no longer be the best Gunlance since there is a new challenge. The Gore Gunlance does a trade-off of 10 affinity for 20 raw and natural purple, that also becomes longer with handicraft. Just 20 raw for 10 affinity is a good deal, but is the purple that makes it the superior one. 100% affinity is still easy to get with this weapon. Just add maximum might 3 and weakness exploit 3 and you are done. The 10% affinity is basically worth the handicraft you need to make Pyre have purple. I will go into optimized builds for both to compare the power level of each. Still they are going to be close because it is just 20 extra raw. Then, for best poison we have the Golden Rathian Gunlance. Regular Rathian is level 8 but is very handicapped by not having a level 2 rampage decoration. Golden has more slots and better poison and stats in general. There is no contest here. Flaming Espinos Gunlance is neat with 15% affinity but just has 300 raw and 28 poison, that is almost half the one from Golden Rathian. Flaming still has better slots and natural purple, so I'm not saying it is trash but is neither the best raw wise or the better poison wise. Afflicted monsters just have too much health to make that little poison worth it. For the niche of slots we got the literally fine Kimura Gunlance. It has a whole level 4 and level 2 slot. Consider this a Gunlance with built-in artillery 3, protective polish 3, divine blessing 3, etc. This is just the Gunlance with the best build value and with 330 base raw still has good average stats. I will use this Gunlance for builds with lots of skills and no more, even though you can put their maximum might 3 and have something very similar to Torci Gunlance with 30% affinity but 30 extra raw and a good chunk of purple and white. Then, there is the Royal Order Gunlance that has 50 base defense, that is just the highest of any Gunlance. This is meant to be used in a build like the wall based in defense. You can still use Kimura Gunlance with defense decorations for defense boost 7 included for more defense, but this is meant to go further beyond and max, and this Gunlance has a stupid amount of base purple and 10 affinity, so is better attack wise. Consider this one for the toughest monsters. Finally there is the Sleep Antique Gunlance. Monster Hunter heavily penalized paralysis and sleep weapons, and this is not an exception. It has no slots and the melee power is average at best. The sleep stat I think is worth sleeping a monster once per hunt. I would personally only consider using it in hunts versus multiple monsters to get it to trigger more, but as said I'm not a fan of status weapons in normal. Wide will have a way better option to put monsters to sleep. And these are all the current best normal Gunlances to have ready for update 8. We don't know which new Gunlances we are going to have, heck, we don't even know which new monsters are we going to face, but if you want to be prepared for everything, start grinding your afflicted level and get these Gunlances before it is too late. And nothing more for today. Thanks for watching. And see you in the hunt.